What's up, guys? Charlie Marlow here with some huge news in the St. Louis sports world. As it is now official, Vladimir Tarasenko has been traded from the St. Louis Blues to the New York Rangers. The press release has just been sent out. I got it from the St. Louis Blues about 10 minutes ago at 1:40 p.m. Central Time, Thursday, February, 9th, 2023. Vladimir Tarasenko no longer a member of the St. Louis Blues. I'll read here from the Blues press release. Blues acquire conditional 2023 first-round draft pick and 2024 fourth-round draft pick, as well as forward Sammy Blais. Yes, Sammy Blais is coming back to the Blues. The Blues also getting defenseman Hunter Skinner, who's a prospect, from the New York Rangers. Blues sending forward Vladimir Tarasenko and also defenseman Nikko Mikkola to the New York Rangers. So it is official. It's coming right from the Blues and their press release. I'll read it to you one more time, or I'll just break it down for you. Blues sending Tarasenko and Nikko Mikkola, and the Blues are getting from the New York Rangers a first-round pick, conditional first-round pick this year, a conditional fourth-round pick in 2024, or just a 2024 fourth-round pick, I should say, as well as forward Sammy Blais coming back in return, and defenseman Hunter Skinner from the New York Rangers. I've said before, I'm not Mr. Hockey. I don't know anything about Hunter Skinner except for the fact that I just Googled him and found out that he's a defenseman, 6'2", 183, shoots right, a fourth-round pick, number 112 overall, of the New York Rangers back in the 2019 draft. So let's talk about this. You heard about the package there. Vladimir Tarasenko, number 91, beloved by the St. Louis Blues fans, the 16th overall pick in the NHL draft back in 2010. So been with the organization going on 13 years, 11 seasons with the St. Louis Blues, 262 career goals, 291 assists, 553 points, a plus 57 for number 91. Of course, helped them win their first ever Stanley Cup back in 2019. Was really the reason a lot of people went down to Enterprise Center for a lot of years back then. If you start in the 2014-2015 season, that's when Vladimir Tarasenko ran off 6 straight years of 30-plus goal seasons, which, let's be real, probably would have been, 9 straight seasons if he doesn't get hurt and have the multiple shoulder issues, which, of course, led to him wanting to be traded a couple years ago, but stuck with the team, was a professional, had a great season last year after asking for the trade. Last year, put up 34 goals, 48 assists, a career-high 82 points in just 75 games. This coming after the couple years where he was really banged up with the shoulder injuries, only played a total of 34 games in the 2019-20 season and the 2020-2021 season. But remember, a big part of that, big reason for that is because the man did play hurt during that Stanley Cup run and helped the Blues win their first ever Stanley Cup. And you go back to that run, of course, Vladimir Tarasenko was very, very productive in the playoffs that year. 26 games played, 11 goals, 6 assists. He had 17 points. Also pretty productive last year for the Blues in their 2 rounds of the postseason. 12 games last year in the playoffs, 6 goals, 3 assists. That is the reason the New York Rangers have traded for Vladimir Tarasenko, because even though he's not having the greatest year this season, what has he got? 38 games played, 10 goals, 19 assists for 29 points. He's a minus 18, but you know what you're going to get with Vladimir Tarasenko. You're going to get a premier goal scorer. You're going to get a guy with a proven track record in the postseason. The Rangers are trying to make a deep run. They're right there. I looked, in 3rd place in their division, trying to move up. You're getting a guy in Vladimir Tarasenko who in 90 career postseason games has 41 goals and 19 assists for 60 points. This is a guy who scored a lot of goals in the playoffs. And I think this also is just a good move for both parties in saying that I'm talking about Vladdy and also the Blues. Vladdy's at a point after asking for that trade, was that last year, a couple summers ago, I should say, that he knew the best spot for him was to go somewhere else, hopefully re-pop his value in terms of going to the Rangers, scoring a bunch of goals, hopefully having a good postseason run. He wasn't going to re-sign here anyway. Now, whether that was him not wanting to re-sign or the Blues ready to move away from Vladimir Tarasenko, maybe both, it seemed like the writing was on the wall the last couple of years that he wasn't going to get another big deal with the Blues, so you might as well go somewhere else and prove you still got it. You're still a big-time goal scorer. Show it in the playoffs and get that last big contract for Vladimir Tarasenko. Remember, making $7.5 million per year, and also the Blues, I've read multiple reports that he is his salary is being retained, 50% of it being retained by the St. Louis Blues. So again, going back to 2010, first-round pick, 16th overall. He's 31 years old, still should have a lot of good hockey left in him. You got to think 3, 4, 5 more good seasons. If you're a Blues fan, I'm sure you're disappointed about this. You go down to Enterprise Center even now, you see as many number 91 jerseys as anybody down there, and that's been the case for the last decade or so. So I'm sure fans are disappointed, but look, this is a business. This is what happens in sports. If you're a Blues fan, you got the absolute best 11 seasons, or whatever it is, 9+ if you take into account all the shoulder issues he's had. But you got the best years from Vladimir Tarasenko. You saw him grow. They won a Stanley Cup. He was a big part of that. And now as he's 31, he's going to go somewhere else and sign a big contract. Hopefully he's really good, but let's be real. We've seen a lot of these contracts as guys age, and they get to be 32, 3, 4, 5. A lot of times those contracts don't really look great. And this has been the MO for Doug Armstrong and the St. Louis Blues. Shouldn't surprise any of us that they're trading away Vladimir Tarasenko. If you're not going to re-sign a player, Doug Armstrong usually goes ahead and moves that guy. They did it with Paul Stastny. They did it with Kevin Shattenkirk in years where they were not a big-time postseason threat. This year, I think you're at the point where, look, you might as well move all these guys. All your unrestricted free agents coming up this summer. It's starting now with Vladimir Tarasenko. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Also, if Ryan O'Reilly goes, if Ivan Barbashev goes, even somebody like Noel Acciari, I feel like has some pretty good value. Maybe you get a third-round pick for that guy. He's got a nice deal, $1.25 million. So I think a lot of other teams would like a player like that. I'm sure the Blues would also like to keep him, but if you can get an asset in return, I do think there's a lot of guys like Noel Acciari that you can find available again this summer. But Vladimir Tarasenko, I've always been really fond of him. I got to St. Louis in 2008, so I've been here for his entire career. Always thought he was a really good guy in the community, with the media, funny, obviously has the language barrier, but that also helped provide some pretty funny moments. I remember years ago, after a game, he's doing the on-ice interview on the bench there, and it was right before Halloween, and he did his interview, and then he said to the fans, "Happy Halloween, everybody," and he said it in this Russian accent. It was really funny. It's a drop we played on the radio for the last decade or so. And then the famous line, of course, from the 2019 Stanley Cup playoff run, where he's up there on the podium with Ryan O'Reilly, with Alex Pietrangelo, and a reporter asks him, I think he was asking him about O'Reilly, I can't remember, but basically, what's it like playing with this certain guy? And when you're playing with a guy like that, how does that rub off on you? And Vladdy responds with, what does rub off means? And of course, a nice little sexual innuendo there. And O'Reilly starts laughing. Pietrangelo starts laughing and snickering. Vladdy's kind of laughing. It was one of those things where I think Vladdy knew what rub off means and maybe that there's multiple meanings, but he wasn't sure, or maybe he was just trying to be funny. But either way, it was a hilarious moment. Another drop we play on the radio all the time. What does rub off means? For your guy, number 91, Vladimir Tarasenko, now no longer a St. Louis Blue, 31 years old. As I mentioned, though, 262 career goals, 291 career assists, 553 points, a +57. All those postseason goals, all those great memories for Blues fans. If you're still watching right now, let me know. Comment. What does this mean to you in terms of, are you sad? Did you know it was coming? Is it bittersweet? Let me know in the comments, what's the legacy of Vladimir Tarasenko? And please comment, like, and subscribe. Again, I was always a big fan of Vladimir Tarasenko. It was very good to me. I'm not pretending like we were best friends or anything, but over the years when I was working at Fox 2, covered him a lot. I remember, this is probably, 4 or 5 years ago. I can't exactly remember, but he and his wife had a relationship. They were friends with a teacher at a school for kids for special needs. I think these kids were on the spectrum. I'm not exactly sure, but I remember, he had visited this school many times, so I was there on a day where he surprised the school. The kids were going crazy. They loved him. He was taking pictures with everybody. He was signing autographs for everybody. Just always big in the community, always good with the media, good with the fans. I know the last couple of years, I'm sure there's some Blues fans that aren't happy with the news today, maybe weren't happy a couple summers ago when he's asking to be traded, but that's part of the business of sports. And you know what? Even though if you go back a couple summers, we're on the radio saying there's no way, after these comments where he's mad about the medicals potentially with the surgery, and were those surgeries on his shoulders, were they done properly? Was he frustrated about that, which you can understand. Now, I'm not a doctor. I don't know exactly what happened. But then also the fact that he had done an interview in Russia and said he was disappointed he didn't get the captaincy. So you wondered if that was a relationship that could be repaired. It seemed like a couple summers ago, 100% chance Vladimir Tarasenko was going to be traded that summer. It didn't happen. And guess what? He showed up. Both parties were very professional. They just figured it out. They were pros about it. Vladdy had arguably the best season of his career in terms of points scored. It was. And the Blues had a nice season, got to the playoffs, won a round. And so now here we are into the 2022-2023 season. And this is the perfect time. It just made sense to finally move on from Vladimir Tarasenko. Probably wasn't going to re-sign here, whether that's him not wanting to or the Blues not wanting to bring him back. And this is a season where it's not going to be special for the Blues. It isn't right now. You probably weren't going to make the playoffs. If you had any chance to squeak into the playoffs, you probably weren't going to do a lot of damage. So it makes sense now to start this sell-off with Vladimir Tarasenko and likely move on to Ryan O'Reilly, Ivan Barbashev, and also Noel Acciari, you would think. So one of those bittersweet moments. Hey, sports is a business. I know for a lot of people, if you're a young kid watching this, Vladimir Tarasenko was probably your hero, probably still is your hero, and it's sad when that guy goes to a new team. But hey, getting Sammy Blais coming back, and hopefully this trade is kind of like that Pavel Buchnevich deal, where the Blues, of course, got the great end of that one, and now you're getting Sammy Blais coming back. So hopefully this is the second fleecing of the New York Rangers, and these picks and this prospect, Hunter Skinner, and Sammy Blais is still a good player for the Blues coming up in the next couple of years. So I think we'll wrap it up right there. Thanks for watching, folks. Again, if you still are, please give us a subscribe. This channel is mostly for St. Louis Cardinals, but this is big news. So we got to put the Blues news on the main channel right here. Vladimir Tarasenko traded to the New York Rangers along with Nikko Mikkola. Let me go ahead and read this press release one more time just so I get it perfectly, exactly right. Blues coming back in return the 2023 conditional first-round pick, 2024 fourth-round pick, Sammy Blais, and defenseman Hunter Skinner, who is a prospect from the New York Rangers. Hunter Skinner was a fourth-round pick in 2019. 6'2", 183 pounds. And again, I'm not going to pretend like I know anything about Hunter Skinner. I'm not Mr. Hockey. I never even heard of the guy. If you're looking for the real hockey breakdown, this is not the channel to come to. I'm sorry. I'm not Mr. Hockey. I know a little bit. Did cover Vladdy for his whole career, so decided to make this video because he has really meant a lot to the Blues, to the St. Louis community, to the sports world. He has been a presence for, as I said, going on 13 years. It's sad to say goodbye, but this is sports. It's a business. It is what it is. Vladimir Tarasenko headed to the New York Rangers. Thank you once again for watching. Please give us a like. Give us a comment. Tell me about what you think of this deal, what the Blues got, Vladimir Tarasenko's legacy, and that's about it. What do you think of the glasses? Had to try the glasses. Been a while. Hadn't worn them in a while, but I went back to get my eyes checked, and I had to get my glasses adjusted because my daughter bent them about a year ago, so I stopped wearing them. So I said, hey, let's go back to the glasses. They're actually transition lenses, so outside I'm sporting that Tony La Russa look like back in the day, all right? Intimidating? No, not really. More nerdy. Anyway, I'll shut up. Vladimir Tarasenko to the New York Rangers. A bittersweet day for St. Louis Blues and sports fans. See you later.